Bjorn was 9 years old. He had survived 4 winters that killed grown men. This one would try to kill him too. He already knew the rules. The cold came first. Always the cold. It crept through the gaps in the turf walls and settled in your chest like a stone. The fire never went out. It could not. If the fire died, the family died. Bjorn's job was the wood. Wet wood meant a slow death. Dry wood meant another morning. He was 9, and he understood this completely. He had buried a sister who hadn't, and by midwinter, everything was about to change. We picture Vikings as raiders. Helmets, axes, burning monasteries. But raiding was a summer job. Most Norse people never saw a longboat raid. They fought a different war. A quieter one. It killed more of them than any English blade ever did. So here is the question that haunts the bone records pulled from Norwegian soil. If these people were the terror of Europe, why did so many of them die before age 10? The answer is not what you think. Archaeologists studied the skeletons. They found something strange in the teeth. Lines. Dark horizontal bands locked inside the enamel. Each line marks a moment the body nearly starved. A child who stopped growing because there was no food. Many skeletons carry 3 or 4 of these lines before adulthood. They are called famine lines, and they prove something brutal. The average Norse child survived by living through repeated near-death starvation. Not once. Again and again. Their own bones recorded each time they almost didn't make it. Bjorn's world ran on rules invisible to us. Break one, and the cold or the clan would end you. 2 of these rules decided everything. The first was the law of the door. In a Norse home, who you let inside in winter was a life and death calculation. A stranger at the door could mean salvation, or it could mean the entire household dead by spring. There was a brutal logic to it. We'll get to that logic. The second rule was darker. It involved the elderly, the sick, and a word the sagas barely whisper. In the worst winters, families made a choice no one wanted to speak aloud. Bjorn would watch that choice made in his own home, and he would never forget who made it. A Norse longhouse was 1 room, 1 fire, sometimes 30 people and their animals under a single roof. The cattle lived at one end. Their body heat was not a comfort. It was infrastructure. Lose the cattle, and you lost the warmth that kept the children alive. So the animals slept inside, breathing the same stale smoke as the family. That smoke is the second killer hiding in the bones. Soot. The open fire burned day and night with almost no ventilation. Researchers examining Norse remains found the damage in the ribs and sinuses. Their lungs were slowly destroyed by the very fire that saved them. They could not live without it. It was killing them anyway. Choose the cold, or choose the smoke. There was no third door. Bjorn coughed in his sleep. Everyone did. It was the sound of a Norse winter. A whole household breathing wrong in the dark. So why was the door such a deadly gamble? Because Norse law made hospitality sacred. Turn away a freezing traveller, and you were marked as without honor. But take him in, and you fed a stranger from stores measured to the last handful. Every mouthful he ate was a mouthful your own child would not. Hospitality could starve you by spring. And there was a darker version of this gamble. Sometimes the stranger at the door wasn't a stranger at all. Sometimes he was kin returning with nothing, and kin you could not refuse. That woman counting the winter stores was named Gudrun, Bjorn's mother. She held the real power in this house, not with an axe. With arithmetic, that we imagine Norse women as background figures. The records say otherwise. A wife held the keys to the household, sometimes literally worn at her belt. She controlled the food, the stores, the rationing. In a land where food was life, the keeper of the food held the family's survival in her hands. And here is the part no one talks about. When the man left to raid or trade for months, the woman ran everything. The farm, the workers, the defense, the brutal winter calculations. Some scholars now argue the famous Viking raids happened partly because the women at home were fully capable of holding the world together without them. Gudrun held the keys, which meant Gudrun would decide who ate, and in the worst winters, who didn't. The winter Bjorn turned 9 did not break. The fish stores ran low in the first month. Then the cold deepened. This was not an ordinary year. We know these years happened. The tree rings record them. Volcanic ash drifting across the sky, summers that never warmed, harvests that simply failed across the whole north. Inside the longhouse, the arithmetic turned cruel. There were too many mouths. Not enough fish. Gudrun counted and recounted, and the numbers refused to change. There was an old man in that house, Bjorn's grandfather, once a strong farmer, now blind, unable to work, eating a share he could no longer earn. Everyone in the room understood the math. No one said it. The old man understood it best of all. He had seen this winter before. He knew what came next. He had once sat in a warm corner while another old voice fell silent. Now it was his turn to know. Here is the twist the sagas only hint at. The old man was not pushed out. He walked out. Norse society had a grim custom whispered in the old texts. In a killing winter, the elderly sometimes chose to leave, to walk into the snow, to die so the children might live. It was not murder. In their eyes, it was the last gift a man could give his blood. The grandfather stood. He found the door latch Bjorn had touched 1,000 times. He spoke no farewell. A farewell would force someone to stop him. He simply opened the door, and the cold came in like a flood, and then he was gone into the white. Bjorn did not move. He understood. That was the cruelest part. A 9-year-old who understood exactly why his grandfather was walking out to die, and understood that saying nothing was how he honored him. Gudrun made the choice to let him go, and Bjorn would carry that silence for the rest of his life. The family lived. The grandfather's empty place at the fire meant the others ate through to spring. That was the answer to our question. Why did so many Norse die so young? Not from English swords. From this. From winters that forced impossible math onto ordinary people. From smoke and hunger, and choices made at a wooden door in the dark. Spring came, as it always did. Cruel that way. The thaw revealed what the snow had hidden. Bjorn found him at the tree line, a quarter-mile from the house, sitting upright, facing home. He had not tried to run. He had faced the longhouse the entire time. The silence after was the loudest thing Bjorn ever heard. We call them warriors, raiders, conquerors. But the real Viking Age was fought in rooms like this one, against cold that never relented and stores that never stretched far enough. Their courage was not in the raid. It was in the door, in the arithmetic, in an old man's last walk into the snow so a boy could see another spring. The bones remember what the sagas leave out. Every famine line, every scarred lung, every empty place at a fire. We survived as a species because, again and again, someone chose to walk into the cold. The question is whether we would still make that choice, or whether we have simply forgotten that someone, somewhere, once had to. Until next time, keep reading the scrolls.